All right. What is popping, everybody? We have made it. Tonight starts the greatest playoffs in all of sports. Better than the NFL, better than that terrible league, the National Basketball Association. Tonight starts the NHL Playoffs. I have a very special guest that I'm about to introduce. This man writes for the Hockey News. He's a huge Rangers fan, so it's enemy territory. Devils Rangers series starts tomorrow, but we're going to talk about the NHL playoffs, talk about what he does. So without further ado, Jonny Lazarus, former UMass hockey player. Welcome to the show, Johnny.
Benny, thanks for having me. And I don't know if the Lazarus thing's just a chirp off the bat, but I hope you know it's Lazarus.
Lazarus, I actually had no idea. I apologize.
This is long overdue, but I thought that was a chirp to kick this thing off because I feel
no, it's not a chirp. But
me and you didn't sign one of those contracts. I saw you sign with your boys Zaretsky, so I can talk
we're not talking
crap to you as I want.
6 o'clock tomorrow. That's it. But we do have a golf outing with the club hockey team. We are not on the team. We're just the broadcasters. Mm-hmm. That is on Sunday, and will be after game 3. So we're going to have to see each other and talk then, but we can't talk about the previous 2 games. So it's going to be a little weird, or the previous 3 games.
I didn't read the rules of the contract, but I've been seeing it all over my Twitter. So I want proof that you guys didn't talk about it.
All right, you're going to get that. The contract, I didn't even write it. He wrote it. I just signed it. That's usually what I do. It says no talking. And then he didn't say may the best team win. He said may the team that outperforms the other win. He was very specific with his words. And it's just for bragging rights. I wish it was for money, but that's okay. They'll get it done.
I'm pretty scared, man. I've been talking about this series for like 5 days now, and I'm just dying for the puck to drop so I can stop doing the hypothetical conversations. No offense to this show, because I know we're about to do that.
No, it's all good. I understand. I've been talking about it for like 5 months.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I think it's very exciting for both sides. But then again, I think there's a lot more to lose on our side than there is on your side. So I'm hoping it goes our way.
Yeah, so we will get into that conversation a little bit later, but I just want to talk about what you do now and just briefly how you got there. So you got a gig with Hockey News. You get sent to Rangers games now. I think that's the dopest part about all this. Can you briefly just talk about kind of your journey and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you remind me a lot of myself. I mean, you're doing it a little bit younger than I was doing it, but I played hockey in college my freshman and sophomore year at UMass Amherst and my senior year at Mercyhurst University, so not too far from Penn State. And I graduated in 2020, and I wanted to keep playing hockey. My ceiling wasn't very high, though. Like, at best, I'd play in like the East Coast League, which is a good league. Like, don't get me wrong, but by no means was I ever touching an NHL ice with skates on as a player. So. I wanted to transition and figure any way I could to get into the league. And, I thought about coaching, but media was really more fitting for my personality. And, just like you, I started my own stuff, started my own podcast, started doing my own talk show at school. And, I got lucky. I got an internship with the Erie Otters my senior year. So in the middle of playing, before practice, I go to the Otters rink and do some social media stuff, some video editing. And then on the nights we didn't have games and they had games, I'd go and I'd do like the Instagram story, the Twitter, and all that stuff for the Otters, which was really cool. That helped me learn social media and learn editing and all that stuff. And then COVID hitting was honestly the best thing that could have happened to me, because
I feel like a lot of people say that, especially in media.
Well, dude, you're forced to kind of just focus on something that you love. Like, I couldn't get a job if I wanted to. No one was really hiring. So I graduated and I had nothing to do. So I put all my effort into media. And, luckily for me, which a lot of people don't know about this, but I'm actually pretty close friends with Bob Menery's manager. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So in September, October of 2020, I got a call from him one day and was like, hey, do you want to move out to LA and be Bob's assistant? And I was like, let me call my mom. Like, yeah, sure. So literally, I spoke to my parents, and 2 days later I was on a flight to LA, and I just couch surfed in LA for 3 months. I got to meet a lot of cool people, hung out with Alex Caruso after the Lakers won the bubble championship, which was awesome. And that just kind of spiraled and, parlayed for, no pun intended, but my media career. I think what you're doing is great. You basically just if you want to make it in this industry, you got to put yourself out there and not be afraid what people think. And, listen, like your first piece of content, whatever, might get like one like or like one retweet. But if you're consistent with it, like people are going to find you and people are going to pay attention. Like I think, Benny, when you reached out to me last year, like I already knew who you were.
Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna bring that up. I reached out to you and you're like, I love your videos on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, I did not expect that.
well, also I was like, this kid's definitely reading my articles because he takes like all my NHL picks. I was like, this kid's taking first period unders. I was like, there's no way he thought of doing that
Of
himself.
course, I read your stuff.
That's my bread and butter.
I always read Action. That's literally my first, sometimes only source.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm sometimes I don't stay up till like 2 a.m. to write the articles. I got to wake up at like 9 and do it. So sorry if you're reading that at 7 a.m. and my articles aren't up yet. But
no, that's okay. I get
no,
it.
but what you're doing, like literally, I remember just like being in your. I mean, like I said, like I was in college when I started it, and anytime like anyone took the time to come on my show or retweet my stuff or just interact with me, I was like, I couldn't believe it, and it's cool. I feel like where I'm at, telling you that I already knew who you were. I remember being in that position, and it's really cool. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I think there was one thing I saw you like trying a cookie or something. I was like, "What's this?"
A cookie review on Instagram. So I always say, obviously, I love sports, and that's what I want to do, like sports media. But I also just want to be this person who can just post random things, kind of like Portnoy with pizza or wine, whatever it is. Like I overall just like being filmed and talking. So, yeah, on Instagram, I post some weird things. I did a Jonas Brothers popcorn review yesterday, but it wasn't good. I didn't post that. So, yeah.
Well, just keep doing your thing, man. You're doing good, obviously. So keep it up.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. And you talked about consistency. Personally, I think consistency is very important along with passion. And then when it comes to meeting people and reaching out to people, Twitter DMs is how I first talked to you, but also LinkedIn has been amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll speak to that too. Like my senior year of college, LinkedIn, I was messaging probably like 50 to 100 people on LinkedIn like a day. And that's just, not asking for anything, just like, hey, like would love to hear how you got your foot in the door. Cause everyone's different and no one, I didn't set out to do this. Like I just started interviewing hockey players and I loved it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And you kind of just have to teach yourself things along the way. So, LinkedIn is awesome.
Now, I do have a quick question when it comes to interviews. I feel like there's two different styles. There's a style that you do when you just try to be like friends with the person, kind of you're trying to learn things about them. And then there's like the kind of professional reporter style. I always try to be like, and now I don't interview anybody, but if I did, I would
always interview me right now.
Well, yeah, that's true. I would always try to be on the like, I'm trying to be friends with you side. Now, how do you like come up with those questions? You just kind of do some basic research or
I mean,
think about what people would want to know?
It all kind of depends on like which platform you're on or, which, I guess, outlet you're covering or what you're doing it for. Like if I'm doing the hockey news, it's got to be a little more serious, a little more, focused on hockey specific, but also like mixing in personality in there. And that's writing. So it's a little tough to do that, obviously with writing, but, Bleacher Report's all about like growing the game, having fun. So those interviews are more just about things away from the rink and what these guys are like, in their personal time. I think people are really interested in that now, especially. And then, the Rangers podcast, I try to do a mix of both, right? Like I want to give good Rangers information, but I also want to like hear fun stories and just kind of shoot the shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on here.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Just making sure. But yeah, so the Rangers thing for me, like that's like my comfort zone, right? Like the Rangers are just what I've talked about my entire life. So I could kind of just, for me, I like how I prep for those. I write like 5 or 6 little notes down, like not even like a question, just little talking points that I want to hit on. And I kind of let the conversation just carry itself. So, that's something I learned along the way too. Like when I first started interviewing people, it was like question, exactly how I wanted to say it. And I found when I was editing that I was like just reading my question, and that's not very conversational. So, I got a lot of tips from other people, and they said, just write topics down that you want to touch on and then just form the question as you go. Like you can naturally do it, and it's how you get better. So that's like a good way to challenge yourself. But yeah, as far as your original question goes, just, understanding, I guess, who the person is and what their motive might be, because, at the end of the day, whoever you're having on your show, you also want to make them look good. You don't want to make them uncomfortable. So I think that's a big part of it also.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge thing, especially, once you have a following and a lot of people see it. So I want to talk about the hockey news because you recently got that job, I believe, or at least you recently made that
Yeah,
public. How has that been, like going to games and covering it live? It seems
dude.
like it's a dream, right?
Oh, I've only done 2 games so far, but I've had to pinch myself. I mean, there's something magical about just like walking into Madison Square Garden, like through the employee entrance and, having the whole building empty to myself, just eating my food and like prepping what I'm going to prep
Do you have
for
free
the
food?
game. They give you like a $25 voucher.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So I actually went over it the second game because I love the chicken teriyaki there and I wanted some fries too. So I went over it. But yeah, I think just like, dude, having the best seat in the house, like press box right over center ice, which is where I truly love to watch a hockey game. Like that's how I see everything develop. And there's plays I know that are going to happen before they happen from up there. When whereas you're sitting down low, it's like you kind of miss a player in the corner if it's a little bit blocked by the people in front of you. But yeah, I mean, that's been a total dream come true. Just being in the locker room after the game too, and like talking to the players, and it's an intimidating thing though. Like you're in and you're out. It's not a time to like chit chat, especially this time of year when guys want to get home because they got to rest up for playoffs. And it's been really cool, but also really eye opening to how hard being a media member truly is because you have to form relationships with the players and you got to make them want to talk to you, you know? So you got to find that balance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have to talk to the reporters, but they could also give you two-word answers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that must be tough. And also that takes years. Like I talked to Sweeney Murdy. He worked with the Yankees for over 30 years. He says he basically knows everybody, but that took years and years and years. But yeah, that is awesome. All right, we
Mhm.
could talk about the Devils Rangers series now. Starts tomorrow. Depending on when people are listening to this, it could have already taken place, game 1 or game 2. I think, and I've been saying this for a long time, Devils in 7. Now, of course, I'm biased. I'm a huge fan, but this is why. First off, the line is a little weird, and I think you could admit to this. I thought it was going to be a pick'em line, 110 each side. Devils, I think, are about minus 120 favorite, maybe minus 130. In game 1, I know they're minus 130. That and then the Devils 5-on-5 play, I think, is going to be an issue for the Rangers. And I think those are the 2 main points. I'm not going to really say home ice or regular season because honestly, the home ice I don't think is a huge deal because Rangers fans are going to pack Prudential Center. And then I
Mhm.
don't really like to talk about the regular season too much, but I want to hear what your thoughts are on it.
On the regular season or the series?
No, this series.
The series. Yeah, I mean, I think, I've talked about it a lot, but like I think the Devils come out in game 1 and look pretty good. I think they split both games in Jersey. I think they split both games in New York. I think it's going to be a 2-2 series coming back to New Jersey for game 5. And that's when I think just the physical play might overtake the Devils a little bit. Obviously the Devils aren't such a physical team up front, neither are the Rangers, but I think the more physical back end definitely favors the Rangers. I think Truba and Lindgren and Keandre Miller and Nikola are just going to try to do whatever they can to rip Jack Hughes' head off. And I hope that doesn't
That's
happen
not
because
happening.
I hope it doesn't happen because I do love Jack Hughes. And listen, Devil fans are on my ass about like chirping them and whatnot. I've been a Devil supporter like basically since the beginning of the year. I predicted them to make the playoffs this year. So that's going to bite me in the ass if the Devils do beat the Rangers. But listen, I think it's going to be a back and forth series. And I think, the 5-on-5 obviously does fall in favor of the Devils as far as the regular season goes. But Rangers are going to do whatever they can get it. Offensive zone rushes. Obviously, the bread and butter is creating plays over the blue line once they enter the zone cleanly. So, in the series is how the Rangers can clog up the neutral zone, and then obviously, Igor Shesterkin gives the Rangers the advantage in goal. But when you look at these two teams, the pace of play definitely falls in favor of New Jersey, and the Rangers can't be guilty of playing the Devils style because they won't win. So the Rangers have to come out and set the tone physically early, and they need the Devils to have to adjust to their game as opposed to the opposite. So listen, I think it's going to be a battle. And you said Devils in 7. And listen, I don't know if either side could handle a game 7 because that would be like the
My
most
heart can't.
emotional first round. Yeah, like I was at game 7 Rangers Penguins last year, and that was enough. If that was against the Devils, I don't even know what the hell I would do, especially if it's in New Jersey. So, I think we're all hoping for a good series, all hoping for a fun series. And, I'm going to talk about it on my show tonight, but I truly hope this is a series where Jack Hughes becomes a villain because I don't think he is one right now. He's a super lovable guy, I think, around the league, but I think we're in a world right now where sports don't necessarily have so many villains. Trey Young is one of the guys I think of as far as being a Knicks fan, and I think Jack
And
Hughes
Dylan
can
Brooks.
somewhat be that for the Rangers.
Yeah, no,
Is I
for
mean,
sure.
what what's Dylan Brooks? Memphis?
In the Western Conference, yeah.
Yeah. I watched that game a little bit, but yeah, I guess that works too.
No, listen, I think Jack Hughes is going to have a great series. And I think another guy who could potentially become a villain is
Dawson
some of
Mercer.
those fourth line guys like
Yeah.
Mike McLeod or Bastion. Like, they're not going to light up the
Mhm.
scoreboard, but if they go after some of the Rangers guys, like maybe after the whistle or something, they're going to be hated quickly. And I totally agree with you. I think they're going to split the first four, and then that game 5 becomes the most important game of the series, game 5 and 7, as it usually is.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think, I mean, this city or I guess Jersey and New York are just gonna explode. It's a rivalry that needed to be reborn. How old were you when Adam Henrique scored the overtime goal?
So I was born in 2002, 2012. That would be 10.
Oh God, like do
Yeah.
you even really remember that or no?
Not really. That was actually my first year of fandom
Okay, so
because I went to the playoff game against the
that was my
Flyers.
first like true feeling of like heartbreak. So I was like a 16-year-old kid, I think, at the time, and it was the Rangers' first like deep playoff run. And man, I just remember sitting there like, how is this over? It felt so magical, and that's the beauty of being a sports fan, right? Like enduring all that pain to one day be at the mountaintop. And the thing with this series is if it's not the Rangers' year this year, then like when the hell is it going to be? You know,
I don't know. That seems like a little bit of an overreaction. I know they got Kane and
that's what we
Tarasenko.
do, man. We overreact. That's what
Yeah, I
sports
know.
fans are.
But at least for Devils fans, they're in a good position where in the offseason, we're not going to lose like Jack Hughes or Jesper Bratt, not even Timo Meyer. We're going to lose like Damon Severson and just get better as the years goes on. But
Mhm.
Rangers are really in a tough spot because I said this when the trade first happened for Patrick Kane. If the Rangers lose in round 1, it is a total failure. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. I think if they don't get to the conference final, it's a failure. How do you look at last year's team and go to the conference final and not get back there this year? Definitely a failure. I don't love saying the cup or bust thing, but like with this roster, I feel like you have to put that phrase on it. No?
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm not sure if you mentioned this before. You were kind of cutting out a little bit, probably on me. Blame it on Penn State. The power play for the Rangers against the penalty kill for the Devils is going to be massive. Devils finished 4th on the penalty kill in the season. Rangers, I believe, finished top 10, maybe 9 or 8. That matchup could decide the whole series.
The Rangers power play has been getting a lot of slack for being inconsistent, but yeah, to your point, they finished 7th in the power play percentage this year in the regular season. But there's a lot of back and forth on whether Kane should be on power play 1 or Tarasenko. Should Kreider be there? It's kind of crazy thinking that we have Vladimir Tarasenko on PP2 right now, like one of the better goal scorers, naturally throughout his NHL career. And he's a guy I'd love to see on power play 1. Like I'm cool with taking Kane off. The Rangers need more shooting threats or as many shooting threats as they can have. And listen, the Devils have been like a top 10 team in almost every category this year. Like, I've said it and I'll say it again. Like, as far as consistency goes, there hasn't really been much better teams, than the Devils. Obviously, Boston has been super consistent all year long, but this Devils team from start to finish, like they didn't have like one bad slump, really,
Well,
did they?
they did in December. It was I'm not gonna
But
lie,
was
talking
it
about
that bad?
I thought they were gonna miss the playoffs. It probably,
Really?
looking back on it, wasn't that bad, but I'm pretty sure they
It
were
was like
like,
1-6-1 or something, right? Like
yeah,
nothing.
but it
Yeah,
felt like it was horrible. And
yeah.
being a Devils fan, them not making the playoffs for the previous 5 years, I was like, that's it, it's over. They're not gonna make the playoffs. And I also predicted them to finish 7th in the Metro to start the year.
Mhm.
But now I'm fully on board and think they're amazing. But
I
it
would
took a
hope
little
you.
bit.
I'd hope you'd be fully on board come playoff time.
Yes, but I'm not gonna, like, I will admit, I thought they were gonna be terrible this year.
Yeah, I mean, but you're not alone. Like most people did. They have 49-point difference this year from last year.
Yeah,
Like,
biggest turnaround in NHL
yeah.
history.
So you're justified for thinking the way you thought. But I think their biggest thing last year is being healthy and having a good goalie. Like Jack Hughes wasn't healthy last year, and this year he's pretty much fully healthy and obviously had a breakout season. So I don't even know what the original question was, but yeah, the Devils are good.
I don't think there was a question.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was rambling on there.
Okay, so any bets for tonight or tomorrow or series bets?
So the series bets I have, I parlayed the Rangers and Islanders, which I know you don't want to hear. Sorry, the wind just blew open my door and everything.
You're all good.
I know it's the last thing you want to hear, but good odds. And
What
the
are the odds?
Islanders,
It's got to be
I
plus
think.
something.
Let me
Plus
check.
200, 300.
Let me just log into FanDuel real quick. I think it was like plus 3 something, honestly.
That's pretty good. I like the Islanders as well. Plus 160. I think the Hurricanes are extremely overrated.
It was plus 428.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I got the Rangers at plus 105 and the Islanders at plus 158. So,
Shout out FanDuel.
yeah, pretty good odds there on FanDuel. I also like Tampa Bay at plus 130. And that's just based on recent history. Like, how many times are we going to say it's the Leafs year? And listen, I want the Leafs to get out of the first round. I think they're great for hockey. I love Matthews. I love Marner. I love Ryan O'Reilly. Like those guys, I want to see them win. But Tampa is a team that we just consistently sleep on. Like, 3 conference finals in a row. And, no one's really talking about them. Braden Point, 51 goals this year. Nikita Kucherov, another 100-plus point season. Like, this team still got it. I know Vasilevsky didn't have the regular season that he's usually had in the past couple of years, but come playoff time, he's still the best goalie in the world, I would say, right? Like, no one's proven it otherwise.
It's
even
hard
Igor.
to say no.
Yeah, even Igor. Like, I think Vasilevsky's still the guy to beat. Tampa's still the team to beat. And until that happens, it's hard to bet against them.
Look, I said this last year. I like Toronto. I'm going to say it again. I actually have been saying for a while that I think the Maple Leafs are going to win the cup. I like being that crazy person who says crazy things. But, I said
Well,
this
do you
also,
believe it or you just say it?
No, I believe it. If they can get past Tampa, which I do believe, then they can beat anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with Tampa, and we saw this last year, they don't really care about playing good in March and in April, and they don't play good in March and April. They just lost to the Maple Leafs, last week or 2 weeks ago? But they're going to be a hard out. I think Toronto in 7, but I can easily see exactly what happened last year with it goes to 7. Vasilevsky shuts the door. They win like 2-0, and then they move on.
That game 7 was so controversial last year with that Tavares goal, and I forgot which defenseman set a pick. I don't know if you remember that. That was a tough one.
Crazy.
But I think, as far as that series goes, it's going to be so back and forth. That's going to be one of the more fun series to watch again. And as far as bets for tonight, I really do think I'm taking the under first period in every Islanders-Canes game. 2 of the top 5 defensive teams in the NHL, both have really good penalty kills. They don't score a lot of goals. 2 good goaltenders. Ilya Sorokin, one of the best in the league this year. Freddie Anderson probably starting for Carolina.
It's actually Ranta.
Oh, it is Ranta?
Anderson might start games 2 to 7 potentially, depending how Ranta does.
They announced that?
It is Ranta. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Either way, I think Ranta's been pretty strong the last couple of games, right? What's up?
No, I said shout out to my TikTok comments because I didn't know that either.
Oh, let me look. I think Ranta's been pretty strong the last couple starts.
He's got a 2-3 goals against.
Yeah, I'm looking here at his last 4. His last 4, he's 3-1-0, 1.74 goals against, and a .925 save percentage. So Ranta's been pretty good. And, he did it last year in the playoffs for them too. So he's not shy to the playoff games, that's for sure. But yeah, I think as far as that series goes, I don't that is not one that is must watch. That's for sure.
Unless you're a Devils fan from 2000 and love defensive hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you talk about must watch series, I really like the Edmonton Kings series.
Yep.
I know Edmonton's getting a lot of hype, and I think they're going to advance. But when it comes to betting, I think there's terrific value on the Kings at plus 210. The Kings are no slouch. They have great players, great goaltending as well, and they brought them to Game 7 last year. And then the Dallas-Minnesota series, in my mind, is a complete toss-up. Dallas is a little bit better, but they don't perform to how good they should.
So I might disagree there just because I think Jake Ottinger is the difference.
Yeah.
Jake Ottinger was a guy this year that I picked to win the Vezina before the season started. Obviously, it's probably going to be Omar, but this Dallas team and Minnesota too. Minnesota was one of the hotter teams in the second half of the season also. But for me, this Dallas team could easily make a run and get to that cup final. I mean, they were there back in 2020 in the bubble. They got most of that roster still. They added Max Domi at the deadline. They got a pretty strong back end with, Miro Heiskanen and Ryan Suter as a veteran presence back there. And, Nils Lundqvist has actually stepped in and done a decent job for that team. But, you look at Jason Robertson, Jamie Benn, Joe Pavelski, Rupe Hintz, a lot of guys that can score goals. And Mason Marchman's been pretty solid. But Ottinger, to me, like last year, he basically almost got them to the second round by himself. So he's a guy that scares me, and he's a guy I like rooting for. So I think Dallas, that series is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and Gustafson doesn't get a lot of love either. He
Yeah.
finished with like a 2.13 goals against.
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think Ottinger is better, but just pointing it out there. So in my Western Conference Finals, I have the same as last year, Edmonton against the Avalanche, but I actually have the Oilers going to the Cup.
So I said this, like I said a similar thing, but the Oilers are somewhat chalk, I feel like. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, so are the Avs, and they're a
yeah,
little banged up.
but man, Vegas just said Mark Stone's back.
I know
So
that's huge. That is
yeah,
massive.
Vegas could be a team too that like Vegas has been so good every year, I feel like, and every year has felt like a year they can go to the Cup final. I think having Jonathan Quick also this year, if who doesn't want to root for a Vegas versus LA second round? Like that'd be nuts.
Yeah.
Uh, but then again, like I want to see McDavid do it. I think he's known to be somewhat of a boring guy in the media, and I think for him to be a little bit more fun, he's got to just get a cup. Everyone seems to loosen up once they finally win. But yeah, man, Edmonton. Oh,
You
they're
gotta
so fun
trust
to
Stuart
watch.
Skinner. That's
Huh?
a big thing is you have to trust Stuart Skinner.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, you look back to 2019, did anyone trust Jordan Bennington before that run?
No,
No.
don't trust
It's
him now.
just
You just got it hot.
exactly. You just gotta get hot at the right time, and that's what he's done. So it's gonna man, this is gonna be so exciting. Like I've never been more excited for a postseason, I don't think.
No, it's unbelievable. And then a big thing, and I'm very curious what's going to happen here. The Boston Bruins set the record for most points in the regular season, greatest regular season of all time. They literally barely lost any games. I gave out so many winning plays on them, and I have them tonight, but I don't think they're going to get past the second round. And I don't think that's that crazy to say.
Why don't you think that? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. President's Trophy curse. And also, I just think Toronto and Tampa, I don't know. It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah. So I think Boston gets this done pretty quickly, whether it's 4 or 5. I said 4 just because I don't trust Alex Lyon or the Florida Panthers goaltending very much.
Yeah.
But I think after that Toronto Tampa series, like those two teams are going to be so beat up.
That's a huge point.
I just listen, I think they're both good enough to beat Boston, but I just think Boston's going to have a much easier time against Florida than either of those teams will against each other.
Well, Johnny, that's why you're a lot smarter than me. I did not even think about the war of attrition.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing this year too. Everyone's talking about the Eastern Conference, how it's so good, but you got to think about last year also, right? The Colorado Avalanche get to the Cup final, they sweep the first round, win the second round in 6, sweep the conference final. They didn't really play so many hockey games going up to the Stanley Cup final. Where Tampa, they play a tough 7-game series. In the first round, they sweep the second round, but against a rival opponent, so it was a pretty tough 4 games against the Panthers. And they play the Rangers in a tough 6-game series also to get to the Cup final. They were a little more battle tested, I think, last year in the Stanley Cup final than Colorado was. So that was a big advantage for the Avs. So, this year could be a similar story, right? Like the Western Conference is definitely good, but the Eastern Conference is more of a dogfight. So I think the West Coast could have an advantage when we get to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, 100%. So the games start, I'm not going to say the time, but the games will be starting shortly by the time this comes out.
Oh, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that.
No problem. I got you.
Yeah.
I think that's basically it. I'm just fired up. Will you be at any of the Devil? Oh yeah, you are going to the games at Prudential Center, right?
I am still waiting for confirmation, but I hope to be at all 6 games of the series.
6. You got to wait until 6.
Yeah.
Game 6 will actually be on my birthday. It can go
next Saturday.
Yes,
next
Saturday,
a sick day. You better do something fun.
Well, I'm not going to do anything fun because if the Devils are down 3-2, I'm going to be nervous as hell.
Yeah, but no, next Saturday, man. If that game 6 is happening, which it should, we're gonna definitely have some parties going on out here. If you want to come home for that.
All right, I have to think about it. Actually, no, I can't. My parents are coming up.
Is it 21 for you? 22? How old
21.
Are you? 21 on a Saturday? My 21st birthday, I had a 6 a.m. workout the next day, and I had to be asleep by 9, so I didn't get to do anything. I didn't have a drink.
Wow, 6 a.m.
Yeah,
it could be worse.
I've heard
it's from
it.
like 5 a.m. Yeah, well, again, I'm only gonna enjoy it if they win.
Mhm.
I'm a crazy man.
What's the drink of choice for the 21st birthday? What's the first sip you're gonna have?
Oh, that's a great question.
Since you've never drank before.
Never. No, that's a fantastic question. What would you recommend?
I feel like you gotta get like a shot of tequila just off the bat. No?
Yeah, that's good. I was, I nope, never mind. I was gonna say something. I don't know. We'll have to see.
All right.
Maybe whiskey.
Yeah.
American whiskey. You got to check it out at Prudential
Yeah.
Center.
I've been. Brat Pack's taken me there before.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Johnny, I appreciate you coming on here. I don't want to say I wish you the best of luck, but if the Rangers do move on, I will say it before. Congratulations, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, Benny, I wish you the worst of luck, and I hope your birthday sucks.
Okay. It's not going to suck because they're going to win in Game 6. Johnny, thank you very much again. Any last words? Any advice? Anything?
No, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome, and happy to finally be face to face. I feel like we've been talking about this for months, so
yeah,
happy to finally come on.
For sure. And you got the invite anytime.
To where? Here?
Here, Penn State, whatever.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Benny.
All right. Enjoy. So, guys, that wraps up that episode. If you wait, is Johnny still?
Oh, I didn't know you're. I didn't know you were wrapping it up. I thought you were just gonna stop the recording and we were gonna shoot the shit. I didn't know that's how you do it.
No, we will in 2 seconds. Just shout out your stuff and then I will exit out of here.
Well, should I stick around or should I dip?
No, you could stick around.
All right. Just shout out the Blue Crew Pod, the Hockey News, all that stuff. But shout out you.
No, shout out you. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Everyone enjoy the NHL playoffs.